Good morning. It is 7:32 on I don't know what that was about. On Friday, July 23rd. Yeah, 2021. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. So, I actually went to bed a little bit early for me last night and then slept in a little bit because I'm working from home today and you know, like right now, I'm still feeling a little bit, of that groggy just got up flavor. But yeah, I think it was good. I think I needed that extra sleep. But yeah, so last night I didn't really have anything else planned, so I made it a movie watching night. I watched Jurassic Park because one of my favorite movie podcasts, Unspooled, was talking about it, and I mentioned this yesterday. I think that I listened to the beginning of the podcast. I was like, yeah, I do really want to rewatch that movie, and it's very good. If you haven't rewatched it, it's actually I think better than you remember. But it's interesting because that podcast then proceeds to have the hosts really present the discussion through most of it as a question of if you have to pick one, do you pick Jaws or do you pick Jurassic Park? And I think for a lot of film buffs, our instincts would have us say, well, obviously Jaws. But they make a pretty solid case. I think it's so hard, and it's why I actually usually don't especially enjoy those sorts of just you can only have one conversations. First of all, I'm so grateful that that's usually not the case. But I think that for me, there's an awful lot of things that you can make the case about Jurassic Park for, but the reason that I ultimately still I think in my heart go with Jaws is because I don't think there is a single scene in Jurassic Park that is as good as the Indianapolis, monologue and the drinking that leads up to it, the Scar comparison. Like that scene in Jaws, I think is better than any scene in Jurassic Park, and I feel like almost just for that scene. Like for all the rest of it, you could make the case, but I feel like that is the best scene between the two movies, and I would hate to lose that. But I also watched Lethal Weapon because that is one of the three movies from director Richard Donner that Mike and I are going to discuss in our next Watching 100 Movies. And we picked that one because it's certainly one of his movies that he did a bunch of like that is one of the ones that he did that he also did a bunch of sequels for, and certainly a formative moment in the buddy cop genre. Although I will be honest that it wasn't necessarily the one I was most looking forward to rewatching, just because I don't know. I mean, the buddy cop drama, buddy cop, not drama genre, is not my favorite. It's like it's fine. Like I enjoy them, and I didn't not enjoy this one. But what I think's interesting about it is that it's so much more focused on the characters than the mystery. Like the mystery they're trying to solve, like where it does make sense, it's super generic, and where it's not generic, it doesn't make sense. Like some of the stuff that happens in it is just like if you take just even a little bit of a moment to say, wait, so if that's the actual answer we get at the end, then why does that so? Yeah, it's like the mystery that they're trying to solve is kind of nonsense. It's not terrible, but it's just certainly not the most compelling of any of those types of movies. I feel like it's the crime they're trying to solve is better in Too Fast Too Furious than Lethal Weapon, honestly. Although Gary Busey as this mercenary bad guy is pretty badass. He's cool. But I think what makes Lethal Weapon enduring is definitely not that part of the movie. It's definitely just the character dynamic of Riggs and Murtaugh. Murtaugh is, I'm getting too old for this shit, that sort of thing. Like, I mean, that's from that movie. And it just works, and it's a dynamic that I think, certainly Lethal Weapon was not the first buddy cop movie, but I think that every buddy cop movie after it is riffing on it. And so I think it is a powerfully meaningful movie within that genre. And I think it's well made, and the characters well drawn and interesting, and more nuanced than you might remember. Even though certainly, the whole Riggs thing is not the most sensitive portrayal of people who are dealing with depression and or PTSD and or just unprocessed grief. But at the same time, like, it's still more complex than it maybe even needed to be. But yeah, the one thing that I will have to just knock it for is it's got a couple of racist and homophobic, like, jokes in there that just, like, watching today, just like, no, bleh, yuck. So, yeah, not my favorite Richard Donner movie. But on the other hand, I watched Superman, which I love, and next is Goonies, which I love, and so yeah. Richard Donner is a good director, and Lethal Weapon, a good movie with aspects that didn't age well. That just happens to not be my favorite genre, I think. All right, and in any case, I will leave it there, and I will talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.